Hey guys, and welcome to my world. So, I finally finished binging Jessica Jones, and I'm here to bring you my spoiler-free review. Firstly, I want to give a huge shout out to Sahir18, who entered into my Daredevil giveaway in my Daredevil Season 1 review recap before Jessica Jones dropped. You are the winner of the giveaway and have won this fine Daredevil issue, The Man Without Fear, 104. So I will message you on details on sending that to you. So yeah, well done. To everyone else, I will be throwing a giveaway at the end of this video for Jessica Jones. So yeah, definitely stay tuned to possibly win one of these. So Jessica Jones, this show is dark but sexy. I mean, it shows you the sleazy side of Hell's Kitchen. It really does. So back in my Daredevil Season 1 review recap, I said that Daredevil brought us down a notch in terms of this dark, realistic world in the MCU. But this show, this Jessica Jones, this show it done that so much more. It really did. This show was sleazy, it was dirty, it was grimy. Oh, it really was that gritty realism. It really was. So Jessica Jones tells the story of this mysterious, gifted individual who has tried the superhero gig, but now is running from a dark past, this mysterious dark past that's led her to Hell's Kitchen, where she now hides in the shadows as a private investigator. So like I said, Jessica Jones is this gifted individual. She has superpowers, she's super strong. She can sort of fly, but she says it's falling with style. I tell you what, Jessica Jones is one badass, don't give a fuck chick. She really is. And I love the whole character. She was super cool. She really was. So we also have supporting characters like Trish, Malcolm, Hogarth, and that's right, Sweet Christmas, Luke Cage. Yeah, Luke Cage was great in this show. He was such a cool guy, and he has some amazing scenes. He really was my favourite part of this show. He really was. But the chemistry in this show was really well done. It really showed, just like in Daredevil, it was acted well. The chemistry on set in the show was it was superb. Guys, girls, be warned. There is a lot of sex in this show. But hey, it was a surprise. But yeah, at least Marvel are mixing things up and keeping it true to the more adult graphic novels they have. So, guess that's this show was acted well. It was beautifully shot. Some of the camera angles really added that tension to the show and to some scenes. I mean, there was wide takes, there was camera angles where you zoomed out quite a bit, and it gave that feel that someone was watching in, and it was really quite, it added to the tension, and it was so good, so well shot. The thing these Marvel TV shows are doing so well is the storytelling. The storytelling through flashbacks as well is so well handled. I'm not going to go into details of anything. That'll be in a spoiler review. But yeah, the storytelling from these Marvel shows is so good. And I'm talking Jessica Jones and Daredevil, because I haven't seen Agent Carter, and I stopped watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. halfway through Season 1, so I'm just talking Jessica Jones and Daredevil here. But the storytelling aspect through flashbacks is so well handled, it really is. So, if you watch my videos, you know I love a good villain, so yeah, let's talk about the villain of Jessica Jones. So the villain of this show is Kilgrave, and David Tennant just embodied the role. He really did. I mean, I did not look at David Tennant once in this show and go, that's Doctor Who. Not once did I do that. Maybe when I first saw him, but as soon as you see the character of Kilgrave, you're like, and I don't see him as the Doctor anymore. I really don't. I mean, this villain was just downright devilish and cruel and disturbed. I mean, Tennant really made Kilgrave the definition of sleaze, dirt and disgust. He really did. Go look it up in the dictionary. It's going to say Kilgrave somewhere in there. But wow, he really was. And his acting also, I don't even know what it was, but in a weird way you sort of sympathise with the villain as well, and it was really weird. I mean, I was sat there and I was just feeling sorry for him, and I was like, what's going on? I mean, and that's down to the writing, the acting and the storytelling. It was so good. It really was. So Kilgrave, like Jessica Jones, is gifted. He has these superpowers of mind control, and he can sort of manipulate your will, so he can make you do what he wants, his bidding. So yeah, because of that, his powers going up against Jessica Jones, it's not physical, it's more mental games. He gets a lot of people doing his dirty work for him, so if you're looking for a physical villain, it's nothing like Kingpin in Daredevil, who was fantastic. This is a completely different villain we're seeing. He is manipulative, he is downright dirty, he is sleazy and scumbaggish, but he's so good as well. He's so good. I mean, just think about it. If there was someone out there with this power, how scary is that? I mean, the thought of someone just telling you to do something and you're doing it, but in your head you don't want to, and you know you don't want to, but you can't help but do it, and he's controlling that. It's really scary to think, and seeing it on the screen, sometimes you sort of shudder at the thought of what he's made people do, or what he's making people do at the time. So this show isn't as action-packed as Daredevil was. The fight sequences are few and far between. The first real action fight sequence we get is in episode 2, with Luke Cage, and wow, he is a beast. He really is. I was like, I won't say what he does, that'll be in my spoiler review, but whoa, he is a beast. But yeah, the action sequences, like I said, they're few and far between. It's not as action packed, and I think a lot of people are going to compare this to Daredevil, and that's why I think a lot of people aren't going to like it as much as Daredevil. But it's a completely different show. It really is. Are the fight sequences as good, well choreographed and shot as Daredevil? Not really. Yeah, the fight sequences in this are a lot more sloppy. They use a lot more brute force, and that's not a bad thing, because if you think about it, Jessica Jones has got this physical power, Luke Cage has got this physical ability, but unlike Daredevil, they're not trained in fighting. They're more sluggish and scrappy and brawlerish. They're more street fighting. So it's gonna be sloppy. It's not gonna be honed into that skill and that martial arts aspect. So yeah, I'm glad that the fighting sequences weren't as good as Daredevil was, because it just shows the more street aspect that this show brings. So this show, on the action front, it was a lot slower than Daredevil, but that's not a bad thing, it's really not. So this show is suspenseful, character building, investigative, and in an interesting way, it's a nice change of pace from what Daredevil was. It really was. It brought this sort of noir-esque feeling to it, which was cool. Yeah, the background music and the voiceovers in this show it really did feel noir. Easter eggs in this show are few and far between. I won't mention any, they'll be in my spoiler review. But if you know your Marvel lore, there is another superhero in this show. See if you can work it out if you don't. But yeah, there's another superhero, so keep an eye out for that. So halfway through this show, around episode 8-ish, it does slow down quite a bit. But again, that's not a bad thing, because this show was telling a story, so it didn't call the story didn't call for a lot of fight sequences or action, but throughout the show is quite suspenseful in the aspect of what's coming, what's happened, the villain, the chemistry between the characters. It's really, really good. Also, there is a cool cameo from someone you know from the already established Daredevil. I won't say who, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. That was cool. There was a moment in episode 12 which I think was meant to be effective, but it wasn't. In episode 13 you find out what happened and what's happened, but yeah, I was like, okay, I get it, but it wasn't as effective as I think the show wanted it to be, which is a negative, I think, because they really did try hard with that bit. But other problems I have, and don't get me wrong, there's only a few, so yeah, let's talk about them. The first problem I have with this show is the lack of Luke Cage. He wasn't in it enough for me. After a few episodes, he sort of dies down and disappears, sort of. He disappears out the show, and you can really tell and notice it. Another negative I have is one of the side stories was really beginning to piss me off. It really was. It was in it too much for its own good. Well, I thought that, in my personal opinion, it was in it way too much. They could have focused on something else. But yeah, that's one of the side stories, and I don't know if you will realise and feel the same as me, but it was really starting to piss me off how much they were throwing that in there. I think there was other side stories they could have focused on a bit more instead of that. The references to the wider Marvel Cinematic Universe was also really disappointing. And don't get me wrong, I can look past the lack of referencing the movies, referencing the Avengers. I can look past that, but the lack of references to Daredevil, I think there's one, maybe two references to Daredevil, and yeah, the lack of that is set in the same place. It's set in Hell's Kitchen, the same place that Daredevil took place, and the lack of references to that was really disappointing. It really was. I thought they was going to do more to interlink their Netflix TV shows, but they didn't. And I think people are going to notice that. I think people will notice that and be like, if this is a universe, why isn't nothing getting mentioned? But I'll talk more about that in my spoiler review. I'm sorry, I was nitpicking there. That's all my problems with this show. Other than that, it's well acted, well written. The story that it tells is so good, especially when it's telling it through flashbacks as well. The villain's great. The main hero's great. Jessica Jones is fantastic. Supporting characters are great, especially Trish. Hers and Jessica Jones' chemistry was fantastic. Yeah. It's a great show. The question I think people are going to ask most is this show as good as Daredevil? And for me personally, no, it's not. But the question we should ask is it still a great show? And yes it is. On a whole, this show is great. It really stands on its own, and it has such a great story to tell. It really does. Despite being slow and unfulfilling in the action and the fight sequences, it's a real change of pace, which is nice, and they're keeping it interesting with the story aspect. It has a sort of noir-esque feel to it, which was really cool to see. So yeah, that was good. This show does well to introduce Jessica Jones to the universe of our already established heroes. And as a whole, it is a good show, and I do recommend giving it a watch. Maybe don't binge every episode in a day. Maybe separate them over a few days, maybe a week. That way it won't feel as slow. But yeah, the story's great, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, like I said, to stay tuned, and I'll let you know how to win these. Basically, all I want you to do is I want the winners to be a subscriber. So yeah, subscribe and like this video if you like it. And basically all I want you to do is leave me a comment down in the comment section below of what was your favourite thing about Jessica Jones, the TV show, and why. Leave that comment down in the comment section below. I'll look through them all and I'll choose my favourite one. There'll be 2 winners. Tell me in the comment which one you'd rather win, Black Widow, Spider-Gwen. And yeah, I'll let you know in a video I'll do next week, I guess. Give it a week. And yeah, I'll also message the winners letting them know which one they've won. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, take care. See you later.